How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. First off, I want to thank you for all the support of this, series coming up. It's been doing really well, more than what I expected. So if that's what the type, or this is the kind of stuff that you guys want to see, then this is the type of stuff that I'm going to give you, and we're going to continue on with the series. I have a ton of information on the whole neighborhood protection plan, gear. I mean, upwards of almost 50 videos on each separate topic that literally we can discuss. I mean, and it's pretty elaborate. And if you guys keep wanting it, I will keep continuing to do so. So like I said, we're in part 3 of building the Minuteman kit. So this section, we are going to talk about gear and ammo carriers. The last video, we talked about ammunition, right? Having the proper ammunition that you need to feed your weapon system and to be able to employ it and use it properly. Now, I get it. I have my kind of head a little bit chopped off because we're going to be putting on specific gear. And you guys don't really care to see my face anyways. You guys want to see the gear and see how it fits and the pros and the cons, which I have listed. So I'm actually going to throw on the gear and show you, the benefits of each. Now we're going to be talking about H-harness, chest rig, plate carrier, and battle belts. And I'm going to show you representation of each item, the pros and the cons. So this one's going to be a little bit more jump cut because I got to throw the gear on, and every time I throw the gear on, it just messes up the audio. So instead of dealing with that, I'm just going to let it cut the video, and we're just going to keep progressing on with it. A little bit different. I like to do a full one take when I do things, but we'll get back to that probably in the next video, which is going to be over medical-based stuff. So IFAKs, trauma gear, and other stuff like that. That'll be in the video coming up. So let's progress immediately into my first choice, which is the H-harness. All right, so here is a typical kind of H-harness, at least the modern generation. Now, where it gets its terminology pretty much looks like an H. I have some other cover-ups here in the back, which we're going to discuss, but this is my primary recommendation for newer folks building a kit for the first time, say they don't have a lot of gear and stuff. This is what I recommend, mainly because it's battle tested, tested, and it's proven to work. Literally look around across the world at different forces and look at their gear. What do they employ? They literally will employ a type of H-harness system because it's cheap to manufacture, easy to use because you can literally throw it to anybody and you can just adjust it and go. And it really does what it's supposed to really well, and that's carry ammo and maybe a little bit of gear. Now, there's a lot of other stuff on the market. You don't have to go for a high-speed one like this. There's a lot of the older Vietnam-era issued stuff that honestly is going to work just fine. This is what I just have in my inventory for my, extra Minuteman kits that I can give out to people because I prefer a different system, which we're going to go over here. It's actually on the board, but that's just me because of, how much stuff I've done and whatnot and what I prefer with my mindset. Now, would I employ this type of system in a different type of scenario, depending on what it is, based on MET-TC, what your mission is? Yes, I would. So the pros and the cons. This is a lightweight alternative. Very easy to manufacture, very cheap. These come in probably somewhere between at least $75 to $180, somewhere roughly in there, which is reasonably pretty cheap. You can find them for about like $100. Now, I would prefer you guys get a quality one, but I know some people are on budgets. I mean, honestly, we all are on budgets if we're being realistic here. But the negatives, it doesn't have armor. Now, do you need armor? No. Would I recommend armor? Yes, we're going to discuss that future coming up, but that comes at a price as well. In the beginning, 100% do an H-harness. The coverage is very large on this. That's kind of a con. It can also be a pro as well because you have a lot of space for gear and other items. I mean, there is upwards of 8 magazines, 9 in the firearm, and then I have extra room in the back for more. That's a lot of ammunition. Granted, this is really nice for longer range patrols and whatnot because if this is all you're going to take, it kind of distributes the load very well and it doesn't really wear on you as much. Problem is, very large. It takes up a lot of space. It does, honestly. You have these straps wrapping around. You have this entire thing in the back. You have all this. it's harder to do a backpack or third line gear, which we're going to discuss in a future video with this particular setup. Now, if you're just defending your neighborhood or whatnot, do you really have or need third line gear? You can just throw your third line gear down and engage your target or whatever you need to do, because you're probably not going to be doing too much movement in a massive expanse. Probably not. So this is what I recommend. So next, we're going to push into the chest rig. Now, another recommendation, which I do employ, and it works really well. So let's push into that. So here's an option for a chest rig. This is a Haley Strategic D3 chest rig, one of their Gen 1s. I really prefer this type of setup, mainly because it's kind of in between. I guess a full chest would be a little bit higher and not like a belt setup, which we're going to discuss here in a second. But this kind of keeps everything very close to you, and your sides are very open, exposed, usable, along with your back as well. So you can throw your third line gear on, or say a battle belt or something like that, and still be able to utilize it. Now, it's very quick and easy, honestly, to reload. You can just pull out your magazines and go with it. Now, it is expandable, at least this particular type. You can put 2 more magazines in the back as well, running 6, and then normally a battle belt or something like that. So this is a viable option. Issues though, not a lot of space. You pretty much just run slick magazines. Now, I do have some, land nav gear and some map pouches, IR light, because I run night vision, which we're going to discuss a whole nother video, all on, special equipment and whatnot. Same with like smoke grenades and stuff like that to, break contact away from somebody. It's kind of limiting on where you put that stuff if you run this. Now, if you're running a slick rig and you want to be very quick moving from point A to point B, this is a really good option to mess with or to purchase into. And that's what I would recommend as well. This works really well. Now, you're starting to get up at a little bit more in price into chest rigs, a little bit different than H-harness, and they're more compatible too. So this will actually clip off, and it'll actually attach itself in to the next gear, which we're going to be talking about, a plate carrier, coming up in the next one. But first off, I'm going to show you another version of a chest rig that you can kind of use as a civilian. Believe it or not, that's not this next piece of equipment's primary role, but it can also be merged in to a chest rig. So let me show you that one, because that one's pretty good. So here's another viable chest rig option that you can use as a civilian every single day, and then also kind of merge it or employ it into, without rule of law. This is a Recon chest rig made by Hill People Gear. Really cool is they do MOLLE up on the front. So you do have a couple places, to put gear. I have a full video, honestly, on this just rig. If you want to take a look at it, see all the details, what I carry in it, I'll throw it in the description box below. But the cool thing about this is if you have a 3 mag pouch carrier like this and have MOLLE, there's MOLLE already put onto this. You can literally attach it to this, and now you have 3 mags, 4 if you have 1 in the firearm, and you can run this weapon system or run an AR-based weapon system. Take this off, and it turns into your fly fishing rig, or say your hiking gear, other stuff like that. For instance, I carry, a secondary in here when I go hiking, the 10mm, and this always rides perfectly in here, but it's very small and compact, which I would recommend one of these as well. Like I said, kind of dual roles. I like having gear that fill both roles, as in civilian, having fun, hiking around, enjoying the woods, but then in a time necessary, I can kind of configure it to go all out, maybe with a rifle or some kind of other, maybe shotgun weapon system like that. So next one we're going to be pushing into is the plate carrier. Everybody's kind of familiar with it, but let's discuss some of the pros and the cons with that. All right, so the iconic plate carrier. Everybody's kind of known, or reasonably should know, what a plate carrier is and why they call it a plate carrier. Mainly because it has armor inserts, front and should be back. And that is one of the benefits of having a plate carrier. So you still have your components for your magazines, for loading your weapon system, be able to use it, but now you have that armor capability, which is good. Is for a frontal, based engagement. if you are facing your target or your enemy like you should be. They don't teach kind of bladed stance anymore just due to the kidneys being open and mainly facing forward towards your target. You can catch rounds and still have that survivability depending on what kind of armor you have in it. We're going to discuss different armor, like the different levels, in another video, but for now it has room for it. Now, this is normally a smaller kit. You can kind of throw other gear like a jacket or something on over top of this and you might look a little bulky, but you can still run around and maintain some kind of, you know, gray man-ish. Now, I'm not saying really run around your neighborhood, but in the moment, like throw this on, there's gunfire and you go respond. Kind of a little bit different scenario. But it is a mid-weight option. It's a little bit heavier. I don't like to run around crazy doing all kinds of stuff in it. Do I prefer it? No, I prefer a chest rig, but kind of comes with that armor aspect. It's kind of nice, along with all locations for putting separate ammunition to feed your weapon system. I have comms set up, you know, for helmet and night vision and all kinds of other stuff I have on this setup, but that's a future topic for special equipment and whatnot. Issue is weight. It's going to be heavier than your H-harness and your chest rig. Those two are viable options. Once you go up into this, also, you're going to be stepping up in the price range because these two options can be had, at least the first two, H-harness, chest rig, can be had somewhere between, you know, $75 to like $200. When you go to this, a whole good with armor, you might be talking $1,500. Now, I'm not talking about your bottom basic, you know, AR-500 armor, steel plate, which works on a budget, but I wouldn't upfront recommend. But if that's all you have, definitely, I'd rather use those plates than nothing. But we'll discuss the armor in another video. There's tons of information out there on it. Let's just stick to carriers. I'm getting carried away, no pun intended. But issue is weight and protection. So yeah, you got protection on the front, but you got nothing on the sides. So can you add armor to the sides? Of course you can, but it's going to weigh you down even more and defeats the purpose of a lightweight plate carrier based rig. So you're going to have this full IOTV massive like armor everywhere, but you're going to be super slow. So enough about the plate carrier for now. It's a mid-weight system. I would recommend it, but it's very premium. Let's push into the battle belt based aspect, and then we'll close out after that, which we're going to be getting into IFAKs and medical stuff after that. So this next video is going to be a good one too. So let's push on to the battle belt aspect. All right, so finally, let's discuss the battle belt kind of aspect. Now, this is just one small snapshot on the different battle belt setups that you can do. Along with all the other rigs that I showed you, there's multiple different types and variations, but I'm trying to cover just the basics and plus all the stuff that I just have to show you. There's a lot of different stuff out there. So this battle belt, Blue Alpha gear, this is an internal external belt type of setup. So you have an internal Velcro and then you have an external belt that houses, you know, a lot of your equipment and whatnot. So the benefit of this is, you know, your hips take a lot of the weight. Don't mind the audio system. It's literally, I have nowhere else to put it at the moment. But it gives you options to have, you know, your secondary, like I said, later on, once you get the funding, go and get a secondary of some kind, just not run it as a primary. So you can have your secondary and also your primary, you know, location to reload from. Now, I tend to use the battle belt as a last means, mainly so if I have to move very quickly with just my weapon system and say, let me grab a plate carrier really quick. One of my plate carriers, right, this is a heavy setup. If I have to move extremely quickly, like say from point A to point B, and I am definitely leaving the battle space or I have to get away, I will absolutely ditch this entire kit and throw it to the side, maybe cache it if I might have the time. But if I know I have to get out of somewhere, like cache that somewhere and literally take off. Now, I still have my main weapon system. Of course, I'll still have my rifle with me, but it gives me extra options and I can move ridiculously quick just like this. So what I recommend is having a dump pouch on the back of this. I don't know if y'all can see it, but mainly what's that for is for empty magazines. You can literally just stuff them back here, even off of your carriers or whatever you prefer to use. They can just go back there. Or for my users that don't have ARs or AKs, if you're a shotgun-based user, you can easily reach into the back and pull up shotgun shells to immediately reload. And you can dump the whole box in there and then just consistently keep reloading to go. Very easy, viable way for shotgun users, or even precision bolt action or anything like that. Sometimes I see them on the stock. That works as well. But the battle belt, technically you could put a dump carrier or a dump pouch on any other system. It's just easier on the dump pouch. Set that off to the side. So also there's a position for your secondary. You can easily utilize this and whatnot, and IFAK, which is exactly what we're going to talk about in the next video. So like I said, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So H harness, chest rig, plate carrier, battle belt. Those are the common setups to carry ammunition. Is there other ones out there? Absolutely. Many different ones that still work really well. These are just the ones that I had on hand to give you recommendations on, pros and cons, that kind of aspect. So we're going to be pushing into medical next, like I've been kind of saying in coming up. Medical IFAKs trauma gear. That's the next video. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, I get it. I don't like really doing jump cuts. I rarely do that, and I don't really like how the video turns out. But the next ones are not going to be jump cutty, and they're just going to be straightforward, all information out to you. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, definitely hit like, subscribe, share. And I get it, some of the videos are going to be a little bit worse than the other ones just because I'm toying around with stuff. So just stick with me. We're working through it. I have good information. At least I hope you guys view this as good information. Like I said, like, subscribe. If you want to donate, PayPal and a Patreon, you guys get to see all this stuff before it even comes out behind the scenes through Patreon if you want to. If you don't want to donate, so be it. I don't care. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm just showing information here. So I hope y'all have a great day.